So, how do you guys stay positive and happy and grateful in a world that's pretty much the opposite of all of those things? This world is naturally very negative. I mean, if you turn on the news, all you usually see is all the negative things that are happening in the world. So, there's a lot out there. How do you do it? I'd like to spend just a few minutes with you and talk about some of the things I've done in the past that kind of helped me through some of those things and staying positive. I know one of the things I've noticed in my life, I have a tendency to do, and I've seen with others, I think even with family members, they get into this mindset. It's like, I'll be happy when, when I find that special person, when I find a boyfriend with a girlfriend. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when the kids are out of the house. I'll be happy when I retire. When I have more money, I'll be happy, and it's something in the future. And unfortunately, that's not a very good way to live. I think we need to enjoy our lives as a journey and enjoy them now. So why do we put that off? Why are we putting off our happiness and our joy? Maybe there's three things I can think of that would help us to have the joy and happiness now in our lives if we truly want that. I think number one, the first thing that we need to do is to live the best possible life you know how. So if there's something out of place in your life or something out of order, fix it. Be the best person you can possibly be. Make a model of all the people in your life and pick out their best qualities and make them who you are. I've got a friend that's very, very loyal. When he talks about all the friends that he knows, he never talks negatively, never talks trash or anything like that about other people. Very loyal. I've got another friend that's very patient and kind and loving with his mother that needs constant care because she has dementia. Great attribute. Make that part of who I am. I have another friend that's in great physical shape. I had another friend that's very disciplined at work and puts in 100% focus and effort at work. And, there's like no wasted time. So put all of these things together and make them who you are. Be the best person that you know you can be. Number two, appreciate and value all that you have now and all that God's given you. It's very interesting that we are the most spoiled, prosperous people in the world and in the history of the world. And yet we're probably the people that take the most medication for antidepressants and the unhappiest people, in some cases miserable. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, we're just pre-programmed to be negative and look for the negative. It's natural. And, are we constantly looking for the negative? Are we in this mindset of we're perpetually discontented? Like John Israel says, this last week I had the opportunity to be part of an online webinar, and they invited this John Israel to come speak, and he had a number of things I thought were very valuable. I'll put a link to his website in the description field of this video, but I thought it was very helpful. That was one of the things that he said. He coined the term perpetual discontentment. He was talking about a time where he was very frustrated. He'd come home from work and he was telling his wife about all of the negative things that happened at work and all of the bad things in his life. And I think she got tired of it. I've done the same thing. And she said, and this is a quote from her, she said, if you can't appreciate what you have now, who is going to say you'll be any happier when you finally get what you say you want? So if we're in this mindset that everything's just negative and bad, even when we get and accomplish the goals that we have, will our mindset change? And I think if we're not careful, it won't. Never get to that point where we're happy. This appreciation, this word, let's talk a little bit about that. If you look at the word appreciation, or to appreciate in Latin, it's a Latin word preti, spelled P-R-E-T-I. And it means to appraise, to set the value of a thing. So in other words, so if there is something in your life that has great value and you don't recognize it or don't appreciate it and spend the time thinking about how valuable that is, are you going to have the joy and happiness in that thing that you could or you should? I don't think you would. For an example, let's say that once you've grown up and your parents, you spend a lot of time, all of your extra time. Let's say you've got two jobs and you're working hundreds of hours, and setting money aside for a college fund or a trade school, and you've got a son or daughter that's shown some interest in going to a trade school and learning a trade, and you've set all this money aside. You've sacrificed all the extra vacations and you've sacrificed all the extra money you could have spent on yourself and put that aside for this son. And so we said, here's the plan. And so he goes to this school, and instead of attending a class and appreciating this gift that was given to him, he just throws it away. Doesn't appreciate it, doesn't value it. How are you going to feel as a parent with that huge sacrifice you made? You'd feel terrible. I'd feel terrible. But not only that, I would probably, well, I'm done paying. I'm not paying anymore. You don't appreciate it. You don't value it. You're not doing anything. You're not using this gift. I'm going to bring you home. Maybe one day you'll understand what the opportunity you missed out on. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't really appreciate something in our lives until it's gone. We don't recognize all the gifts and blessings that God has given us that are right in front of us every single day. His grace, mercy, blessings He extends to us. And so a lot of times I think in order for us to put us in that mindset, we need to write stuff down. And I've got, I would recommend you get a journal. I've got a few. This is an old one from uh, about 14 years ago. But when I was in real estate, it's a very, very difficult field. You're constantly, if you're out looking for referrals, it's very negative. A lot of negative. You're just grinding. And so you have to start the day in any profession probably with the right mindset. And so if you look here, here's kind of a list of 10 items. This day, like I wrote down, I appreciated my wife's help in a project, my health, the rain, my mom's love and mothers in general, meeting new people, a hot shower in the morning, a thermostat. And then I also wrote down 10 things that I wanted to accomplish that day. But yeah, isn't it really the basics? How many of those things did people through most of the history of the world, and they didn't have that stuff? So I think there's great value in writing down and appreciating what you've been given. Another thing that John says, I think has a great value, great treasure. Let me share this with you. He said, the person that has the ability to access gratitude, regardless of their circumstances, is the most powerful person in the room. The individual that has the ability to access and experience gratitude, regardless of what happens with their business deals or in their family or personal lives, that person is the most powerful person in the room. And I think that's 100% true. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, it's huge. Let's say I just had a terrible tragedy in my life, growing up, things kind of changed, but let's say girlfriend broke up for you, or you failed a class, or you got in a car accident, your car was totaled. Let's say you got in a worse tragic accident, you lost a limb. Say you're just diagnosed with a terminal disease. So in the face of all these things, Are you still able to access or have gratitude for what you have been given, or what you do have? You know, I think the goal in life is eventually get to the point where nothing in this world that you can be subject to or that can be forced on you will change the happiness or peace that you feel inside. It can't be removed. It comes from inside. That is the goal. Nothing in this world can take it from you. Number 3, lifting others' burdens. I think your burdens become much lighter when you help others. Let me just share one example of how I became more grateful of really just some of the basics in life. Years ago, I had some friends in the neighborhood, and we decided there was a guy and his wife that, well, he was suffering with MS, and it was kind of advanced. He had a hard time talking, got to the point where he couldn't even swallow very well. And his wife was tasked with his constant care. And so we determined that at least once a week we would go and take him for an hour or two and get him out of the house. He very rarely, sometimes weeks at a time, wouldn't leave the house because she wasn't able to get him into the wheelchair and get him into her car. It was just, I mean, it was heavy, but very difficult to move. And I found out it's very difficult to move someone. Anyway, so we would come, we would pick him up, get him into the wheelchair, take him up the flight of stairs. They lived in a basement apartment, so number one, he had to take this wheelchair up a flight of stairs into the car. And I don't know if you've ever tried to lift somebody from a wheelchair, lift them under their arms, kind of like it was a deadlift spot, and then lift them up out of the chair and kind of twist and turn and get them into the car seat, the front seat. It's not easy. But we spent, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months doing that, and I really, it was a great blessing. I know he couldn't talk very well, but we'd take him to different places in the valley just so he could get outside. But through that experience, I learned how much value to appreciate just the ability to walk, just the ability to run, just being able to take care of myself, to get out of bed, feed myself. We have so many blessings, and most of the time, even with as difficult a position that he was in, he was always pleasant. So the person that has the ability to have that gratitude, regardless of their situation, really is the most powerful person in the world. So to summarize, to feel, constant joy and happiness in your lives, number 1, live the best possible life that you know how. Number 2, appreciate, value, and recognize the blessings that you've been given. And number 3, help other people. Lift burdens when you see burdens. Help other people. They need your help. Thanks.